Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Editorial Analysis. So this video session is dedicated to the analysis from the newspaper of the Hindu as well as from the Indian Express. So this is the initiative of Apti Plus and the entire initiative is powered by ISGAN. So before starting the editorial analysis, I would also like to inform that we'll be also discussing some of the important question at the end of the analysis. So you just stay tuned for the important question. And those of you who are looking forward to join prelims test series, mock test series, there's a new test series for 2020 and there will be total 70 tests which you can avail in this course. So 40 sectional tests would be there, 12 current affair test, 5 previous year question and 13 full length tests would be there. This mock test series can be availed both online as well as offline. For more details you can visit to the contact number mentioned or you can refer to our website also. And those of you who want to participate in the answer writing challenge, so this is a free initiative in our Apti ISGAN website basically. So every day 3 questions are posted, you can participate. This would be enhancing your answer writing skill. And you can also follow us in our Apti Plus Telegram official channel for more important PDFs, compilation, daily news, editorial analysis and PIB compilation, Kurukshetra, everything is there in our Telegram channel. So this would be again, you'll be getting some of the important document that could be relevant for the examination. So do not forget to subscribe our official channel of the Telegram. And starting with the analysis for the day, that is from the Hindu. So the first editorial talks about the state breaking is not the nation making. Okay, so this is a good editorial. This is by this talks about basically what has happened, the abrogation of article 370 and 35A. So this again can be important for your general studies paper 2 and 3. And I feel anytime essay can also be there talking about the federal structure of the country. So this editorial is again the repetition of the same things. This is again the counter argument. This is by Neeraj Cholroke. So she talks about how the things were not taken into the consideration, because when it's come to the abrogation, when it's come to the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, things were not taken adequately. Okay, and she has also given some of the issues of coexistence, talking about the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989, what was the repercussion of that. So this incident has also been talked in this editorial analysis. And the kernel of identity, I mean talking about the balance of the federalism, and talking about the federalism should be it should be at the pivot most, and decentralization is the need of that, because after the 74 Amendment Act, the decentralization was again one of the things which has promoted to the inclusive growth of the country. So it talks about what would happen if the things which has been taken, the decision by the government, would it be again going through the measures of decentralization, would it be promoting the decentralization in the particular state, being in the union territory, so how things will be taken care of. So these are there in the editorial, and rather it's more of the reputation. It also talked about the regional autonomy, of the union territories and the people over there. So how the balance of the power will need to be maintained, because everything will be taken care by the central government itself. The entire the jurisdiction will be at the center. So this talks about the same. So those of you who want to read this definitely can read, and is again more or less the repetition of the content, so you can have a glimpse of this. Now the second editorial which is there in the Hindu talks about a political inconvenient data nugget. So this is on the background of the demonetization. Okay, on the background of the demonetization, and this is mostly a data driven article which is there. So it talks about how a committee that was being formed, and in the recent 2017 Rajaswa Gyan Sangam was there. So Prime Minister has told there should be something like a redraft to the Income Tax 1961. Okay, Income Tax Act of 1961. So there should be a redraft, and in their continuation, task force was a task force of the drafting to the new direct tax legislation was enacted. And on September, talking about the memorandum which was there, so task force has the draft which was prepared was not the members which was there, so the adequately it was not being presented and still there are some of the things which is there with the government itself, because the people who were there in the convener who were there, so basically the member was Arvind Modi. So he was also the director. He's a former member of the Central Board of Direct Taxes. So it is mostly a data driven. It talks about how demonetization things has changed, and the figures are given, because no, something has increased, something has decreased. So as far as the demonetization point is concerned, those of you who want can read this. The important aspect is here in the GDP growth estimate. You can read this one, because you can use this in the paper 3 as well. So this again can be important for your general studies paper 3. Fine. Now, talking about the other important editorial from the Hindu itself, talks about the sacrificing the liberty of national security. So this editorial talks about the unlawful activities prevention of the Amendment Act. So how it can be a catastrophe for the fundamental right, how it can abrogate the fundamental right provided by the Constitution, because in itself there are some of the limitation of this laws, and the other stakeholders, the concerned stakeholders have told that this is not, when it's come to the democracy of India, when it's come to the democratic country, this is something which is undemocratic. This is by Sanjay Hegde. And there's some counter argument as well, that the unlawful prevent activities would definitely make an individual as a to claim that he's a terrorist. And I have made a separate video where I have described the entire trivial detail of the unlawful activities prevention amendment act. So I request rather to refer that video, so that you get the clarity of the topic, and it's more on the counter of that. There's a counter argument which is being provided in this editorial. Now the other short article editorial which is there talks about how the Kerala model is unsustainable, and the things has happened is not well. See, the recent flooding in the Kerala has put in how the man-made and the artificial things, how we have hindrance the nature. So again, there was a lot of landslides, and that leads to many death in the Kerala. So this is the Kerala model, and we need to learn as far as the sustainability of the environment is concerned. We definitely need everything into the account, and the future states, the measures like this definitely need to be taken care of. So this is the Kerala model. This again can be used in the general studies paper 3, and for the case studies some of the things can be also taken. Talking about the general studies paper 4, you are posted as a district magistrate where the flood has been there. So how you gonna, because UPSC has asked this type of the question in the case study. So where there you can use this model, what were the impact, the sustainability of the environment. So these can be used there. And there are the many failure which has also been discussed in this short article. So the failure part you can also read, so that you can use this one. See, the thing is that whatever is being reported in the newspaper, you need to filter right out the important point, and you need to correlate with the general paper. So I'll be helping you to how we can use that entire content, the relevant content for the general studies paper. Fine. And the other important article which is there in the today's newspaper, this I think is the most important article. So the risk of the legalizing cannabis. See, what government is trying is the US and India is trying to commercialize and commercialize the cannabis. So what it could, how could it lead to the other problems? So this I'll be discussing into the in depth. I'll not take much time here. We'll also see how things are working, what are the international regulations, what India can do. Everything will be taken into the account into this editorial. Now talking about the other important editorial from the Indian Express. So the first editorial talks about the title of the editorial is BJP as in caste play. See, this is this talks about how the recent after enactment of the Prime Minister, so how the things has changed, because in the Lok Sabha election what has the BJP did, so it has not gone to the thing which was like BJP has appointed a non-Maratha CM in Maharashtra, it has appointed a non-Patel CM in Gujarat, talking about the non-Jat CM in Haryana. So this strategy was applied to the selection of OBC and SC in UP. Okay, and BJP have targeted the non-OBC. So this is mostly a caste driven, how the caste factor was there in the elections, and things how that could be achieved, the more and more seats to be achieved. So this is a lot of more politically, the angle of this editorial is not relevant for the examination, so you can leave this one. Now the second editorial from the Indian Express talks about the the musical chairs. So this is This talks about how the transfer and posting in the administration. Recently, as you know, there was a news that the Subhash Chandra Garg, he's a financial secretary who was handling the Department of Economic Affairs called DEA. Is one of the very important office of the Ministry of Finance, and he was transferred. So the transferred policy of the government, because transferring officers of the such apex levels of the topmost definitely impact the working of the office as well. So it talks about how it should not it is not those that holding the key position less competent than others. People are still very competent. See, the thing is that you need to give the proper time and the proper autonomy, so the merit cannot be questioned, and the things definitely need to be taken care of. The superannuation policies and other retiring bureaucracy, what government has did, because if it talks about the POM, many of the official who were already being retired, they have the things has been changed, the rules has been changed to make into them. And recently, if you talk about the national security advisor also, so he will be also coming to the office because he is about to ending his tenure. So government is planning that again, how we can amend the law and we can induct him, if we can just increase the tenure. So things need to be taken care with utmost, because some of the important position of the government, some of the important offices of the government play a crucial role in the nation development. So this was on the part of this editorial. Definitely this can be used, this can be also used under general studies paper 4. Fine. Now talking about the other editorial from the Indian Express. So Mr. This talks about the demise of Mr. Khayyam. So as you know that he was a singer. Basically his full name is Muhammad Zahoor Khayyam Hazmi. He is better known as Khayyam, and he is an Indian musical director and composer as well. So he has spanned more than 4 decades in the industries, and he was also a Filmfare awardee. He just won Best Music Award in 1977. Okay, in 1977, and for his songs called Kabhi Kabhi and in 1982 and Umrao Jaan. So he was also awarded with the Sangeet Natak Academy Award in 2007, and he was one of the pioneer in the Indian music, and he was also awarded Padma Bhushan by the government of India. So his share Muzaffar Ali talks about his entire life. So those of you who are interested in personal about the personality can read this. Now the other important editorial from the Indian Express is like a new time for the leaders. So this is by Ram Madhav. He's a minister over there. So his writer is again a national general secretary for the International Foundation, and also the member of Bharatiya Janata Party. So it talks about how the laws which would be there, the Kashmir need a new leadership. It talks about the emerging power and the need of the hour in the 21st century, because whatever was there, he has compare the reason for the 20th century and 21st century, and the validity of the decision of the government to abrogate the Article 370 and 35A. So again, it's more pro-government argument which is there. So you can, if you want, you can skip this. That's not that relevant. Now the short article which is there again in the Indian Express talks about do not fear for the chunks. So this is on the background of the Congress leadership that they are missing, and definitely at the time when there are many the leaders, the veterans leaders like P. Chidambaram, who is again yesterday only he was arrested by the CBI. So many of the political leadership in the Congress is missing. Like Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi has just told that he'll be not continuing with the chairmanship, and Sonia Gandhi is the ad hoc chairperson. So things for BJP, Congress is not working well. The top brass, the Congress as a leadership is not very going well, and is being the opposition party, it is one of the largest party as well. So things is not going well with the Congress. So this again talks about what would be the fate of the Congress. So this is again can be you don't need to refer this, you can leave this part. So this was on the wholesome part of the editorial from the Indian Express. Now we'll be taking into the account the complete analysis for the day, that is the risk of legalizing cannabis. So this again can be important for your general studies paper 3. Okay, and also you can use this in the general studies paper 4. where questions can be there. Definitely it can be there. The drug addicts, the trafficking of the issues are there. So no, here they can be used, the content can be used there as well. And in the paper 3 it talks about the health issues, the regulation also. So the cannabis was there in the news a lot, so we'll be getting into the other trivial detail of this as well. So they will be discussing the risk of legalizing the cannabis. Okay, so what has happened that the commercialization of cannabis is as a concern is considering to be the dangerous across the world. There's a growing movement that the West is legalizing the cannabis, and India on that parameter is also looking forward to legalize the same. But there's a issues. I mean, if you talk about the research which was there in the Yale universities for several decades, it talks that it can be used for the medicinal purpose, for medicinal research as well. But India should also take an utmost care when it talks about the risk and the benefits of the cannabis, and it should not blindly follows what the West is doing. So what West is doing, it is trying more to legalize the use of cannabis and making it more commercialized. So the entire analysis is concerned in this. And what is cannabis? You definitely need to understand what exactly is the cannabis. So cannabis are the drug that are comes from Indian herbs plant. So this is called cannabis sativa or cannabis indica. And the main active chemical, this can be there in the examination because UPSC sometimes has asked the chemical as well. तो आप ऐसा मत सोचना कि बहुत ज़्यादा टेक्निकल टर्म्स है तो आई शुड नॉट लर्न दिस, बट एक बार आपके नॉलेज में होना चाहिए. तो द मेन एक्टिव केमिकल्स ऑफ द कैनबिस इज THC, that is delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay, so this is the chemical. And talking about the cannabis is a depressant drugs. Okay, it's a depressant drug. This can be asked in the examination for the prelims. And in India it is also known as bhang, ganja, charas, hashish. These type of terms in being used, or it has other basically some of the issues of mythological during the Savan time. Also people used to tend to use it as devotional purposes as well. So this is what the cannabis is. Now what are the other forms of cannabis that are available? So the first form is marijuana. So marijuana is a common term. Basically it's a least potential of the cannabis, and it is a dry leaf of flower plant. Fine. And the other form is hashish. So hashish is a dried cannabis region, usually the form of small blocks. Fine. These are the second form, and the concentration of hashish is higher than the marijuana. Okay, the hashish is higher, and hash oil is there. It's a thick, it's a liquid, golden brown in color. So it is extracted from the cannabis, and it is the strongest form of cannabis. Okay, these are the three forms that you need to understand. And talking about what are the misconceptions, the misconceptions that are related to the cannabis. Okay, so the misconception that is there, cannabis is harmless. People misconcept that it is harmless, but definitely it is harmful, and its immediate effect include impairments of the memory and mental processes. Fine. And the long-term cannabis may also lead to the development of addiction to the substances. And the other misconception that is there, mental health problem arises such as schizophrenia, depression and anxiety. And exposure to cannabis can be also affecting the brain development. So these are some of the misconception about the cannabis. And talking about what would be the aim of commercialization, which has been discussed in this editorial. So the goal of the commercialization is to sell much more product, as much as product can be sold across the world, across the globe. And the cannabis industry is steady growing in the US. Talking about the United States, it is growing a lot, and the sale is again considered to be the taboo, and the decline, and somewhere it is also declined. There have been shows there is a decline in the Western countries. And the country concerned, the companies, what they're doing, they're trying to enter into the cannabis market because of the tobacco taboos, because the taboos, the taboo, basically what is there, the tobacco use is declining over the time. So people are finding to use more cannabis and to generate more money and circulating it across the country. Okay, so the import of the cannabis is on the higher side. So company what doing, they are trying to import more and more cannabis from the other countries. So the commercialization is into a very positive note. So talking this was the main aim of the commercialization. Now what would how there was some misleading advertisement which definitely divert the mind of the people. In US, basically the cannabis is incorrectly advertised, and it is being told that it is natural and the healthier way of alcohol and tobacco. So definitely it is not like we had issues with the e-cigarette in India. Okay, जहाँ पे हमारे पास ई सिगरेट की बात की गई थी, तो इट वॉज देयर, तो हमने उस पर भी वी ऑलरेडी हैड टोल्ड कि ई सिगरेट इज नॉट गुड. Fine. And the commercial entity was also understood that the younger people, the young people are definitely have their lifelong customers. Okay, because जितने भी युवा अवस्था के लोग हैं, they consume a lot. So and also the cannabis product, some of the cannabis product which are there in the market is in the form of ice cream and the sweets and even the soft drink. So do care if you're using any of the products, any of that altered product, so do not consume that. Okay, and it is already there in the Western market. Now you also need to understand some of the international treaty and regulation with concern to the cannabis. So the US has sponsored an international treaty to prohibit the production and supply of the drugs, including the cannabis. And there is again there's a it is illegal that the possession, use and sale of the cannabis is illegal in most of the countries under the agreement called International Opium Convention. This was in 1925. And the government of India has also banned the use of cannabis by passing National Drugs and Psychotropic Substances 1985. Okay, and Netherlands way back in 1976, and some US state recently has allowed for the recreation the use of marijuana. Okay, so this is on the part of international treaty. Now what has changed, how the scenario has changed? See, what is ironic that the West is now legalizing the cannabis and other drug. They're trying to promote this, trying to more commercialize the cannabis. And India, it is necessary for India to take the considerable and careful measures to consider all the risks that are considered with the alternative use of cannabis. So definitely we cannot go, we definitely need to have a strict policy when it's come to the use of cannabis. And what are the important concerns that are that is associated with the use of cannabis is that the legalizing and the regulating of the cannabis definitely undermine the criminal markets. Okay, and it would also promote the black market. The use would definitely promote the black market, and it has a other side effect. The consuming of the cannabis do have the other side effects on the health of the human being. And what need to be done, what can be done? See, it is important for India to make a distinction, and definitely a legislation, a process of decriminalization and commercialization need to be in a balanced manner. We cannot ignore any of the thing. Then definitely if it is used for the medicinal purpose, if it is used for the medicinal purposes, then it is fine. But if it is used for the commercialization, definitely we need to stop it. And what India should do, what position and what should be done, so India should definitely decriminalize the cannabis, but forbid its the commercialization should be definitely not to that level what the other West country like United States are doing. And government definitely need to look forward to the policy of the cannabis. There should be a policy, and it should also ensure that the protection of child, okay, and the other young people who are associated with the mental illness are the most vulnerable, are more affected by this. So again, the India is being the we are the youth among the world, we are among the youthest country in the world. So हमारे youth को we need to give in a right direction. We do not we need to monitor them as well. And when it's come to the treatment, when it's come to the addiction of the people of the cannabis, the treatment should also be offered by the government. अगर कोई ऐसे लोग जो they are addicted to the cannabis, there should be treatment for them. So definitely we need to take a very cautious step when it's come to the legalizing and commercializing the cannabis. So this was on the part of this editorial, and I find it to be very relevant. You can be asked question, there can be a joint question, there can be no other question which can be asked in associated with the use of drugs. So you can definitely use this example of the cannabis. Now we'll be coming to some of the important questions of the day, and I also want to know that how many of you are participating. Just comment on the section and just let me know which sort of question, what type of question you also want, so that it can help me to formulate when I frame the questions. It will be there in the mind key. People are just need for this type of the questions. So do comment on that comment section, which type of question, what sort of question do you want. And for the day of the question is, with reference to the purchase manager syntax, consider the following statement. So the first statement is the indicator. This is the indicator of economic health and manufacturing of service sector, and it is released by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and it is calculated to month-on-month basis. So you have to tell me which among the following statement is correct, whether only 1 and 2 is correct, only 2 is correct, only 1 and 3, or D, 1, 2 and 3 is correct. So the correct answer is C. Okay, so only 1 and 3 is correct. Fine. So see, it is definitely it's the indicator of the economic health and manufacturing of the service sector. And when it's come to the purchase of PMI, it's provide information about the current basic conditions, company decisions, analytical and purpose managers. And when statement 2 is incorrect, because it is not released by the data from the is published from Nikki and the construction of the market companies, and a manufacturing PMI has also been service prepared by the publishing for the 2. And when it's come to the statement 3, this is also correct, that PMI data are based on the monthly survey. It is a monthly survey, and it is selected by the companies to evaluate whether there has been improvement in the deterioration and no change in the parameters, okay, to the previous month. So statement 3, C is the correct option. Now the other question, with regard to arsenic, consider the following statement. So you have to tell me which of the statement is correct. So the first statement is, arsenic is highly toxic in the organic form. In the organic form, it is highly toxic, and arsenic is the natural present in the high level of the groundwater. It is naturally present there. So you have to tell me which of the statement is correct. This type of question was again asked in the UPSC. Okay, it has been already asked in this kind of parameter which was asked. So it can be all important for the examination. So C, the answer is B, because it is not highly toxic in the inorganic form. Okay, it is highly toxic. Basically, it is highly toxic in inorganic form, not in organic form. So in inorganic form, it is highly toxic. And statement 2 is correct, because it is naturally found in the in the groundwater at the highest level. Okay, in many of the countries. So the correct answer is B. So do let me know what are the other important section of the questions you want from me, so I can include that questions. And if you have any suggestions, do not forget to share your valuable suggestion. And I sincerely thank you for listening. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for listening.